Welcome everyone to Asian Pacific Voices Radio, where you'll find stimulating conversations that explore diverse topics and stories impacting our Asian Pacific American communities. I'm your host, Arnold Chun. Today, we are thrilled to welcome a dynamic storyteller, filmmaker, and community advocate who's redefining representation in media. A 2025 Gold Telly Award winner and director of the acclaimed documentary Baldy for the Blind. She brings heart and purpose to every project, whether she's behind the camera or in front of it, or building space for the next generation of underrepresented creatives. From powerful portraits featured in Times Square to her leadership in PhilAm Creative and Burns and Sawyer, my guest continues to uplift Filipino and Southeast Asian voices while championing stories that matter. It is such a pleasure to have Drea Castro on Asian Pacific Voices Radio. Welcome, Drea.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Arnold. Nice to see you again.
Yeah, it's been such a long time, and I've just been following all of your progress and journey and all the accolades that have been coming. Congratulations to everything and all the successes.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. That means a lot.
Well, I mean, come on, you deserve it. Like you're just such a dynamic talent, literally, just of so many different facets, and I'm just always motivated and inspired by all the things that you're tackling at the same time. Your love of travel. I know that you've just
Yes.
basically almost walked the entire earth at this point, right?
I just came back from Italy and Austria and Switzerland, which was so
There you
fun
go.
on my
Yeah,
bucket
there you
list.
go. Well, why not we start with your roots? And, obviously you represent such a cultural plethora of just amazing diversity. So I want to start with that and tell us about your background and how all of that cultural heritage has shaped your creative journey to this point.
Well, I am Filipino. And I was born in the Philippines and was an immigrant. So I came here when I was really young, but we would go back and forth every summer to go to the Philippines. And then I actually went to high school there. So I've had a very dynamic life. And I'm able to be a chameleon because I've lived in so many different circumstances. And I guess when you're an immigrant, you kind of have to be, right? You have to like try to fit in somehow or try to find your voice. My background is Filipino, but I actually didn't find myself in the Filipino community because I didn't live in the Filipino community after I moved back here to the States. I was primarily in either an African American and Latino school, and then I moved to like an all like white American school. So I've had like such a when I look at my life, it's like wow, I've kind of like been all over the place and have experienced different worlds. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. I definitely didn't have like the easiest life. And I think that's why now I try to help tell stories um, for people who feel like they don't have a voice. Because when I was a kid, I wasn't allowed to really speak up or tell my story. And so for me, it's really important to do that now as somebody that has the ability to and power to do that. So that's a little bit about me.
Do you come from a pretty big family? Do you have like lots of brothers and sisters? Tell us about just your family dynamics.
I had four sisters and I had like three older sisters. The next sister, who's older than me, is 9 years older than me. And then the next sister, who's younger than me, is 9 years younger than me. So the
Wow.
dynamic was I was the baby for a really long time. And then they all kind of like moved away. And then my little sister came. And then I became the ate, which is like in Filipino, that's like the older sister. Um,
I
so I've
see.
had a lot of, I've experienced the middle child, the younger child, the oldest,
Yeah.
um, so yeah, that I think that's why I'm a little bit, I understand people's journeys a lot in
Mhm.
family dynamics because of that.
Are your sisters also creative? Are they in the same field that you're in currently, or do they just do completely like regular 9 to 5 kind of jobs, or what's their uh, professions?
Yeah. My sister Irene, who's 9 years older than me, she actually was an actress you know? So I saw her. She was my ate. She's like 9 years older than me. So when she was going to college, she was doing theater and then started doing cruise ships. And so she kind of paved the path for me and made it a possibility, because in Asian family households, that's like a big no-no. You know, you're supposed to be a surgeon. You're supposed to be a lawyer or something. You know, you have to work for the World Bank or the UN. My oldest sister works for the UN. So yeah,
Wow.
it's just like, it's such a thing. So she was really the creative one that made it a possibility in my brain that it could be something to do. And I think we're all kind of creative, but me and Irene, I think, are the most. Maybe my little sister as well, but yeah, we've all had kind of like this creative soul. You know, we all sing because we're Filipino, of course, but
Mm.
but yeah, it was. I remember just like seeing her on stage and being like, "Wow, that's amazing!" And just being, I wanted to be a part of it.
And here you are, you're a Telly Award-winning filmmaker. You're an actress, you're a photographer, and now Chief Program Officer. Am I saying it right? PhilAm? Is it PhilAm Creative?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So your parents have got to be impressed, right? I mean, come on, that's just not like some, easy feat. Like you've accomplished a lot. I'm sure your mom and your dad got to be proud.
I actually, my mom passed away in 2020. And to be completely transparent, I didn't have a great relationship with my mom. And I didn't
Mm,
have a great family life, which is probably why I became an artist and why I had to kind of learn to advocate for myself and cheer for myself. Yeah. So yeah, I think as I grew up, I pretty much didn't have a good relationship with her growing up, and then I had to like raise myself pretty much, and then also
mm,
had to had to learn to cheer for myself and not have to have the um outside people trying to tell me that I'm enough. I had to kind of figure that out for myself and do that for myself. And
mm.
that upbringing, the very, very rough childhood that I have, I think was there because I'm supposed to make an impact in the world. So if I didn't have all of those things, I don't think I'd be the storyteller that I am. So
And thank you for sharing that. So I can definitely understand that now your passion, that's where it comes from because you've, made your own path. And to do that, it requires so much resilience. And I'm sure along the way, that definitely hasn't been easy. And in that passion and that pursuit of this endeavor in entertainment, you're wearing a lot of creative, and leadership hats. How do you stay grounded through it all? I mean, considering where you've come from in terms of your background.
it's so hard, Arnold. It's so freaking hard to tell our stories, to tell brown stories, or to tell underrepresented stories. It's so difficult to advocate for that. But I think it's because I had come from so much, like, I'm telling you, I could probably write a book about my life. One day I'll write a book and you'll be like, oh my God. I had come from so much a tumultuous life that now it's like, well, this is hard, but that was harder. And it kind of prepared me to have that thick skin to fight, because you got to be a fighter to do what we're doing.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's definitely my upbringing, even though it was difficult, I think was there because couldn't be where I am right now, and face all the difficulties and the challenges of this industry if I didn't have that.
Mhm. And your feature documentary, I mean, Baldy for the Blind, you're advocating for the disability community, and where did that come from? That passion to do that? Then, I mean, did you have family members in that community, or what inspired you to really go and bring forth that particular voice?
Well, I'm a hiker. So my film is about a group of blind hikers that attempt to climb Mount Baldy. So initially I was supposed to be a sight guide, and I was being trained to be a sight guide. And then I remember in my inexperience as a filmmaker, I was like, I got to film this. And then it got bigger and bigger and bigger. And I think, I didn't have anybody that was blind or around me. So the first thing that I noticed is that it challenged the stereotype that was going on in my head from just TV and film and like what we know about blind people. It completely changed my view about everything, and it changed my whole life. And it definitely influenced me because, I was in my early 20s at the time. I've been working on it for 13 years. So for me, it was like in the developmental stages of my adult life. So they definitely like changed my trajectory. But the reason why I wanted to do it probably is because they don't have a voice. I didn't have a voice when I was a kid. I wasn't allowed to talk, to tell like my story or like what things that have happened to me. So for me, it's like when I find groups like that, it's important for me to advocate for them. So that's why I
Mm,
think that's literally like I look back on it and I was like, I think I did that because I felt like they couldn't tell their story. So I had to. I could.
mm,
So let me try in the
mm.
best way that I can because I was in my early 20s and still learning filmmaking
Right.
and all.
Right. And just thank you for that contribution to that community because I mean, my father obviously just became disabled recently. And so understanding and learning about how disabled people, endure life and the challenges and the struggles that they have, when you're not in that community, it's far removed from you. And then when
Right?
there's somebody close to you that experiences that and goes through that, it's like kind of hitting the reset button, trying to have to understand and learn their needs and their nuances in terms of what they go through mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And I'm so grateful that you did something that really resonated and highlighted those voices. I had a question though. You've done photography as well. Was that before you became a filmmaker? In terms of order, what was the first thing that you went after in your creative endeavors?
I remember being a kid and always loved photography. Like I would look at books of Ansel Adams and I would see these like I would see Yosemite, in black and white. And I'd be like, where is that? I want to go there one day. So there was that travel bug that's always been part of me. But then there was also like that love for pictures. And I would look at them and I'd be like dreaming about it. So in high school, I started to do photography. Also, I was also performing because I'm a Filipino and they make you perform. They're like, go sing. Here's a karaoke mic, sing. So I think it's a little bit of both. I think I've always loved being behind the camera. And then also, I was also in front of the camera. And I think that's for other reasons. I feel like when you're in front of the camera, it's really healing and you can like process a lot of things. For me, it's a form of therapy. So that's really helpful. But behind the camera, I get to make my own narrative. I get to tell stories. So it's really special in both ways. And they kind of went hand in hand. That's how it all started, photography. And then it like morphed into the DSLR world when DSLRs came out. And I was like, wow, I could like learn how to shoot film. And then now I'm a lot more experienced. I wouldn't call myself a DP, but I could do documentaries. So there.
Yeah,
Globally.
no, and you've got to photograph some iconic people. I mean, Lil Wayne, Eve, Simone, and your work's been displayed in Elle Magazine, Times Square. Naturally, it's totally a very connective part where photography definitely influences on the film side, especially because it's a visual medium and you're going
Yes.
from a still motion to then now an actual visual moving motion. It totally makes sense. And I wondered in 2022, so you're part of Women in Film Mentorship Program. Is that another thing that just continued to further your endeavors of wanting to be a director in that facet of your journey of your career?
Yes. So I was at the tail end of my post production process with Baldy for the Blind. I had worked on it for 13 years and it was it's another like mountain that I was trying to like climb because I was doing it on my own. And so I had joined the Women in Film mentorship program. I got in and I was like so excited. um, I wasn't aware that there were mentorship programs. So to me, I was like, wow, and I didn't know. And I wish I did earlier because I think I would have been applying much earlier in my career, but that helped shape my first of all, what I thought about mentorship. And then also I had Shannon Riggs, who is one of the best producers, especially in the documentary world, who was helping guide me as I was preparing to start, premiering Baldy for the Blind, go through post production for Baldy for the Blind. So she really was like helping me as a producer because I got into the producing program. But yeah, it was one of the best things that's ever happened to me for my career. And I learned so much. And there was only 3 of us in the documentary cohort. And the people that were in my cohort were like Emmy winning documentarians. And I just felt so like honored to be around these amazing storytellers. And then I had Mia Haggerty, who was like such an incredible storyteller and was also doing a documentary. It was just amazing. It was this group of women who were just powerhouses. And I got to like be around them, which was so amazing.
Did that naturally lead to them working with women in media and Filam Creative and being, you're also mentoring people through those organizations?
Yeah. So Women in Media and Women in Film are 2 separate organizations. They're similar, but they have they're slightly different. So Women in Film does the mentorship program, and Women in Media they do a lot of different things. And actually, like Mary Acevedo, who's the head of Burns and Sawyer, she works with women in media a lot. And so I found out that there was this other amazing organization that advocates for women. After that mentorship program, I ended up finding the Filipino community shortly after, and yeah, just becoming a leader in the community. And I wanted to bring that mentorship that I had learned from women in film into my community, because like I said, if I knew that it had existed earlier, how far would I have gotten if I knew that there were mentorship programs? And then if they were targeted towards Filipinos and Southeast Asians, then our stories could be out there that, we got to fight for. And so for me, it was very important to be part of a community like Filam Creative, to kind of help advocate for that and hopefully create programming so that I can help pave a path. Because now I'm at the age where I'm like, okay, I have to create a path for others. That's really, really important, because I wish I had that path.
Mm. Yeah, and then in 2024, you served as the festival director for the first ever Filam Creative Film Festival, right, in LA?
Yeah. Yes.
Talk
Um,
about what did that mean for you to such a significant, I mean, the first ever, it must have been just a really amazing just accomplishment.
yeah. So we were in our second year, and now we're in our third year, but it's so hard to create a film festival. And it's so like in anything that you're trying to create, it's so tumultuous and hard, and there's so many challenges. But last year, when I was able to be the film festival director, I tried to create peace and harmony, and like try to like bring the community together no matter what, and make it a possible thing to like actually pave a path for filmmakers. It meant so much to me because, like I said, after Women in Film, I became such an advocate for creating a path for like the next generation, and this was the best way to do that. So for me, it was like, how do we create a community? It's like about creating community. I think this film festival, like if we do this, like it just felt so great to bring in the people that I knew from like all of the years of working in the industry, like, as part of panels or all of those things to help Southeast Asians and Filipinos. It was such an incredible thing. And I remember we had our gala night, and I was just so proud. It meant so much to me because I knew I had made a mark, that it could be possible to have peacefulness. Because sometimes when you're a colonized community, people get competitive instead of collaborative. And for me, it was really important to show them that we could actually collaborate together and make a really positive impact, that all of that Filipino crab mentality could be pushed aside if we just focused on like the purpose of giving to each other, because then we actually like move up faster. So for me, it was making an example, like it's possible, guys, like it's totally possible, just focus. So that to me was like the most satisfying thing, to see that we could really shine, that it meant so much to me that like we could do something so well.
So, how do you choose stories to tell? What kind of influences that in terms of the narratives that you're drawn to? Like, well, how do you choose? Because you've done Bless, Black Hat, Crab, like your upcoming projects, they spotlight underrepresented voices. So, what guides you and influences and draws you to pick the things that you pick?
I primarily, honestly, it's the people behind it, because you're getting into a marriage. So if the people behind it are A, passionate about what they're doing, and B, they're good people, like you can tell like their energy is good, that they just want to do good, then I will go behind that person, because they're going to become my family. You know, if you're producing something with me, or you're working on something with me, like you're going to become part of my world and part of my family, and I got your back. So I need to make sure that you also have my back, and we're in this together. This is going to be years and years of challenges, and we got to be on the same team. So that's the first thing. Second thing is just like, is this story, like, are they passionate about it? Are they passionate about the story? Does this align with my values? And is this something like, I really love telling underrepresented stories. Like if it's about the disability community, it's about the Filipino community, whatever it is, if it's something that like hasn't been told yet, or, you know, like people are just trying to fight because they don't think that a brown, you know, Asian, or like, you know, whatever, like a person of color can't be a lead, then I'm probably going to fight for it. I want that. I want that story, because I can prove it that it's possible.
So, looking at all of your accomplishments as a creative talent, you've also got this amazing business background and working at Burns and Sawyer in business development. How did that come about in your repertoire? Like, I mean, how did you end up getting in cooperation with Burns and Sawyer and working there?
Yeah, so Mary Acevedo, she's within the Filipino community. So through Filam Creative, I was able to meet her. And then eventually I was like, I need a job. Mary's like, come work for me. That's literally how it happened. And because I have some camera knowledge, very minimal camera knowledge, like photographer camera knowledge or documentary filmmaker camera knowledge, I was able to work there. And I work there as their director of business development and marketing. And it's great. I love Mary. And she's a freaking like Filipino CEO for the oldest camera rental house in LA. I mean, come on now. Like, I want to work for that woman. She's incredible. So for me, as like learning from her as well was important.
Mhm. Oh, that's amazing. So, with all your experience and everything that you've seen, as you know, as an Asian American community as a whole, we're still fighting to get more equity. We're still fighting to get more and more of our stories told and opportunities so that there's more than just like six people who constantly work all the time. What do you think needs to happen for real equity to exist behind the scenes in entertainment and in front of and in front of the camera?
I think real equity is not just about like changing the structure. Is about changing structure, you know, like the actual structure, and not just the optics. Because a lot of times people just do it for the optics, right? There needs to be an actual shift behind the scenes in entertainment. And it's not just about like checking off boxes of diversity. It's about building a system where people from underrepresented communities, like Asians, you know, people with disabilities actually have access to those tools and the training and the opportunity so that they can grow. So that means like investing in mentorship and investing in paid positions and partnerships that really move the needle. So like, for example, at Burns or Filam Creative, for example, we're really intentional about working with other organizations like, you know, Burns and Filam Creative work together. Burns also worked with Alliance of Women Directors, because we believe that access to gear and resources shouldn't be a barrier, you know? So we try to like really help those up and coming filmmakers and give them the right tools and support so they can tell actual powerful stories. That's how we begin to
Mm.
shift the power. We got to give them resources.
Do you feel that the Filipino American community, I mean, when we talk about building equity and having the opportunities and more platforms of voices to be told, obviously it requires resources in terms of financial backing so that we can make these particular kinds of content to compete. Do you find that the Filipino American community, are they similar to just the Asian American community where it's quite difficult? Let's be honest. Like, it's not something that was modeled for us. It was not something that, you know, our parents' generation did in terms of philanthropy, in terms of supporting arts. I mean, in the same way that you've talked about, you know, not being encouraged to go into arts, it was the same thing for my parents as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wonder about that topic and that question all the time is how do we get the resources from our community as a whole to back and fund these kinds of things so that it is on the level of the people that have been doing it for the last 100 years? And obviously that's not our community. How do you feel about when the, opportunities come that you're asking for support, you're asking for financial backing? Do you find that it's there within the Filipino American community?
It's hard. It's really, really, really hard to get financial backing, period, especially for Asian stories. But there are people out there that I think it's about community. So like, with Filam Creative, I remember with Baldy for the Blind, I needed help to throw this like massive party at Warner Brothers, and I needed people to come in and they came in, but it's about like knowing the right people and then using your network in order to like make that happen. Now, I'm not saying there's like millions of dollars around. That takes a little some work. And I think, just showing that it's a possible thing to tell our stories via the numbers, because you're going to people usually with money that are business people. So you got to treat it like a business. So for me, it's like whenever I'm trying to pitch something, I'm like, here are the numbers. It's a possible thing. If we cast this person, if we do this, then the return could be here. So in my experience, it's just always like, these are always business people. And then also hitting them in the heart, like showing them that it's like, who else is going to tell our stories, So just being passionate about it combined with the business sense, I think is the way to find that money. But it is hard. It is not easy. And we really have to if we want to see our faces up on television and film and TV, then we got to put our money where our mouth is. If you have the ability to do it, support.
Yeah. Couldn't have said it better myself. All right. So I'm going to move into some fun lightning round questions for you. You ready?
Okay.
All right. Acting or directing?
Acting.
Dream co-star, Mindy Kaling or Aquafina?
Aquafina.
Most unforgettable audition story?
I messed up a really terrible under 5, my first audition in LA, and I messed it up so bad I cried in the car and I was like gonna quit. It was terrible. It was a producer session. It was terrible. And then the next week after that, I booked Act of Valor because I came in there and I didn't care. I booked the suicide bomber in that film because I came in, I didn't even brush my teeth, and I was like, fuck this shit. And I just like went in there and I was like, I don't care. And then I booked it on the spot pretty much. So it just shows you don't give up, even if you suck on some days. I remember it was terrible.
Okay, next one. What's your go-to self-care ritual after a long shoot?
Hiking.
Okay. One Filipino dish everyone needs to try now.
Arroz caldo.
And if your life had a movie title right now, what would it be?
The mountain she climbs.
Oh, Drea, this has been great. Thank you so much. Look, what's your website? How do people get in contact with you? Social media? Do you want to share that with us?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at the letter M, roaming the earth. That's where you can find me. You can also see some of my work as a producer and a director, and also a photographer on littlebeastproductions.com. And also you so can much, find Drea. Me on Rehearsal.
Oh, that's right.
Crazy
Drea,
episode.
It's been such a pleasure, and just really appreciate your time, and thank you so much for sharing just your background, your story, and your journey, and it's just very inspiring and motivating.
Thank you for having me, Arnold. You are amazing.
Absolutely. No, come on. You're the one that gave me the shot to come and work with Robbie. Anyway.
Oh God. You're amazing. Arnold came in and killed that.
No. This is about you. This is about you.
No.
Yeah. Well, once again, I want to thank my guest, Drea Castro, for joining me on today's show. And we would love to hear from you, our valued listeners, about any suggestions for future guests or topics. Don't forget to subscribe to our program on your favorite podcast platform and follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and our YouTube channel. Asian Pacific Voices Radio is produced by Asian Culture and Media Alliance, a nonprofit that empowers the Asian Pacific American communities with a voice through media arts. If you would like to support our program, please visit acmasocal.org. I'm Arnold Chun. Please join us next week for another exciting and thought-provoking Asian Pacific Voices Radio show. Until then, take care, everyone.